morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome once again. We are back, and we are just waiting for NASA to fire up their coverage to start the docking process. While we're watching, or while we're waiting, got a couple things for you. One, this is the live feed from the International Space Station. So this is what they're looking at from way up there. The Soyuz is just now entering the keep out sphere of the International Space Station. So we're right on track. And like I said, just waiting for NASA to jump back on with their coverage. Hope you guys are all doing well today. I'm going to say hello real quick and get into it. Dog Mama, hello. Bobby, what's up, buddy? Shenny's here and soon, I think, going to be here to share something with us. I am a meme stealer, so if there's a good one, I will take it, just so you know. And I offer no apologies for it. So it's kind of small on here, and I can't show it, but if you look in this lower right, or lower left, excuse me, you'll see an orbital track of both the International Space Station and the Soyuz capsule. I took a nap and it's still not better. I'm trying. And so this right here is the keep out sphere around the International Space Station. So, and we're going to welcome to the stage Jenny. Hey, Ma.
Hey, baby. Just a little slow moving this morning, but I'm getting there. You just let me know.
Yeah. Go ahead and, did you already share it? Oh, there we go.
Let me know when I can get there and hit play, and I will definitely do that.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. It's starting in the middle, so where we stopped it earlier. So give it a moment.
It happens.
It's one of those wacky shares. This is the beginning.
Gotcha. So this is Vandenberg Air Force Station, we believe, and
it's from Ramona, California, all the way up in the hills.
Yeah, and this appears to be a Falcon 9, based on our confirmation, looking at all kinds of different things. It does look pretty neat though. It's got that poof coming out, that kind of whiskey poof, and yeah, really good video.
Lovely rainbow in the second level right there. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm. I wish we had somebody that could do that live for us.
I wonder if we could find somebody if they were given advance notice.
Probably not. That's probably too much to ask, but we can try.
Be. But, I mean, it might take a couple of shots because I'm thinking go higher up in the mountains, go lower down to the waterfront. Where's the perfect place? But heck to the YES, we're going to do it.
Yeah, that's really cool. And there's often a lot of, they say why it looks like that on the West Coast and not the East is there's more water in the atmosphere out that way, and there's always some kind of, not a really dense, but kind of a fog. Often if you see them from the ground, they pop through the fog out of Vandenberg and look pretty intense.
That makes sense because we always seem to have a bit of a fog coming in as our sun goes down.
Gotcha.
It doesn't burn off really fast because, like you said, there's so much water that there's so much fog. And by the time it gets closer to the land, it slowly starts burning off. But yeah, buddy.
Yeah, but
so cool. I just wanted to share that with you.
I appreciate it.
I'll
So
get back
that's
to
neat.
work. You do your thing here, Bug. I love you. Hi to everybody. Thank you very much. And as soon as I find out where we are, I will leave. Bye.
Take care. Thank you. And that was Jenny coming in with some footage of previous launch. We are still waiting on NASA to fire up their feed. Should be in the next 3 to 5 minutes here. I think it's worth sometimes watching. This isn't particularly, but there's the Sartov Oblast of Russia. There's quite a view, and sometimes they stop it unexpectedly, and flat earthers will use that to say, "Oh, well, it's because they're trying to hide something." I don't know. I think it's hard to run a camera live for 24/7, 365 without doing some maintenance on it personally, but you make your own choice. So they'll stop the feed, interrupt the feed at times, but it's pretty consistent, and it's pretty cool to just see the world go by as you're floating. I believe it right now we're at about 195 kilometers above Earth. I think that's where our current track is. So really cool, really cool. It's flat from this angle. It certainly is. Certainly is. This is a straight down approach, so it's going to look rather flat, but it's still pretty, and it's really cool. Orberg Oblast, Russia. So we keep going between Russia and Kazakhstan. So it must be up kind of where they launched in that general direction. So checkmate. Bobby, I know you're not a true flat earther. You're just trolling. But with that being said, we are certainly, like I said, just waiting for NASA to kick off. They should be up any second now. They kind of do their own thing when they want to. They don't listen to my input, and I don't listen to theirs, generally. So we're just in a holding pattern right now. This is exceptionally fast. I'll say that much for a docking. It's pretty actually. There's NASA. It only went around the Earth twice since we watched it launch this morning.
Day from the International Space Station Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. Mission Control with you as
So this
we
is
are
Mission Control
preparing
Houston.
for the arrival of 3 new residents to the International Space Station. At this hour, the Soyuz MS-24 spacecraft that launched just 2 hours and 16 minutes ago from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan is rapidly approaching the neighborhood of the station, now just about 30 kilometers separating the Soyuz from its destination, the Rassvet module, and a docking to the Earth-facing port of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. At this hour, the Orbit 2 team of flight controllers is on console here in Mission Control. Flight Director Chris Dobbins, who is in the middle of this cluster of flight controllers on console. To his left is Flight Director Ronak Deve, and to his right, spacecraft communicator Jessica Meir, the veteran astronaut who launched just 4 years ago on a Soyuz MS-15 spacecraft to the International Space Station for her long-duration mission. Everything is proceeding normally since the Soyuz lifted off at 10:44 and 35 seconds a.m. Central Time.
Which seems really weird that there's Russian
Cosmodrome in
members of the Russian
Kazakhstan.
government in
vehicle
Johnson
arced
Space
out to
Center,
the
which is a
northeast,
huge,
8 minutes and
huge
45
security,
seconds after launch, arrived in its
heavily
preliminary
secured
orbit,
space center.
deploying its solar arrays and
I know, because I was just there.
antennas to begin the express lane.
I understand the peaceful
3-hour trek to the International
peaceful
Space
things,
Station.
but they're also doing
Flight
military
controllers who
outside of
are
there.
in
So
control of the
it's,
Soyuz operations
I wonder
today
how
are
they
in
segment
the
that.
Russian Mission Control Center that you see here in this balcony view in the Russian Control Center outside of Moscow in the town of Korolyov. They are talking directly to the Soyuz crew. Oleg Kononenko is the Soyuz commander, and he is flanked to his left by first-time flyer Nikolai Chub of Roscosmos, and to his right, NASA astronaut Loral O'Hara. This trio, with Kononenko making his 5th flight into space, are flying under the call sign of Antares. That's the call sign for their Soyuz spacecraft as they approach the International Space Station, where they will conduct a fly around of the station at a distance of about 400 meters, a 54-degree fly around of the station to precisely align their forward docking probe with the Rassvet module. They will go into a few seconds of station keeping, if that is required, to allow the Russian flight control team to make final calculations on the alignment of their spacecraft to the Rassvet module before they press in for a docking at a rate of about 1/10 of a meter per second, docking scheduled at 1:56 p.m. Central Time, 2:56 p.m. Eastern Time.
So this whole process will take generally about an hour. That's about right. And that's a map from Johnson Control, so they can see
earlier today, about 2 hours and
where
45
everything's
minutes
at
before launch. The 3 crew members, Loral O'Hara, Oleg Kononenko, and Nikolai Chub, boarded the stairs to their vehicle as it vented liquid oxygen behind them, fully fueled, ready for launch from Launch Pad 6, Site 31 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome. They were sent off by NASA and Roscosmos managers as they posed for that traditional picture on the stairs leading to the elevator that would take them up to the entranceway, the descent module of the Soyuz MS-24 spacecraft. After waves and final farewells, the crew climbed the stairs, boarded the spacecraft, and awaited the final hours of the countdown. With everything proceeding on track, the countdown moved into its final phase, with engine ignition having occurred about 12 seconds before launch.
They're not flying, they're falling with style. Exactly. They're falling back towards Earth. They're falling, well, they're going towards the horizon and falling back towards Earth.
After the second of the 2 tower umbilicals separated from the side of the Soyuz rocket, engine ignition and liftoff occurring again at 8:44 p.m. Baikonur time. The engines built up thrust, the hold down posts were released, and the Soyuz 2.1A booster was on its way. The Soyuz arced out to the northeast from the Central Asian Desert Spaceport. About 1 minute and 10 seconds after liftoff, passed through the area of maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle, basically going supersonic at that point.
Max Q.
And 1 hour and 1 minute and 58 seconds after launch, the first stage shut down. The solid boosters on the side of the vehicle fell away, and the second stage took over the operation. The yaw, pitch, and roll control of the vehicle was rock steady. Structural parameters on the vehicle were perfect as the vehicle continued its climb to orbit. About 4 minutes and 55 seconds into the ascent phase, the second stage shut down, and the third stage of the Soyuz took over, completing the 8-minute, 45-second climb to orbit. Once the Soyuz completed its work and the spacecraft itself separated from the third stage of the Soyuz booster,
This guy has a
the
very
solar arrays
monotone
and
voice.
navigational antennas on the Soyuz were deployed as planned, and the chase was on as the Soyuz began to close the gap between itself and the International Space Station.
We saw a bright light, and I think we have the ISS visible.
Go into the light.
NBC Moscow, we already have been holding the push to talk button. Depress and hold.
The conversation you're hearing between the interpreter, who is interpreting conversations between the flight controllers in Korolyov and Kononenko aboard the Soyuz spacecraft. They're talking about all of the technical parameters for the final phase of the rendezvous. The crew went into automated rendezvous operations just 49 minutes after launch, and after conducting the first so-called DV burn,
Aliens,
the
yeah.
DV1 burn, a delta velocity burn that raised the
What's up, Jacob
altitude of the
Castro?
Soyuz to match that of the International Space Station and to fine-tune its path en route to the orbital outpost. The station and the Soyuz are currently flying over the South Pacific.
I hope so,
about to begin a
Brian. I
southwest
just saw your
northeasterly
comment.
swing
I hope
that
so,
will
buddy.
take the two vehicles across South Central South America, up the eastern coast of South America, and back over the South Atlantic. En route to the station, the crew activated its core's automated rendezvous system, which basically is the autopilot, if you will, the automated rendezvous system that is flying the Soyuz towards the Rassvet module of the International Space Station. The core is checked out in good shape. In the unlikely event that a problem would occur with the core's system, the backup is Oleg Kononenko, the Soyuz commander, who would take over manual control of the flying of the Soyuz for its docking to the Rassvet module.
That
This
would
is
be so
unlike what
tough.
you are commonly referred to
To
on
hand dock it.
Progress unpiloted spacecraft, where if the core system encountered a problem there, then the crew on board the station, the Russian cosmonauts on the station, would take over the manual flying of the unpiloted Progress vehicle through a joystick in the Zvezda service module called the Toru system, the telerobotically operated rendezvous system. But in this case, there is no such system associated with the Soyuz approach where their crew is on board. If the core has encountered a problem, it would be Kononenko taking over the flying of the vehicle.
That would be incredibly
course,
stressful
however,
because
is checked out.
if you messed up,
Everything is in good
you're
shape.
screwing up an entire huge
We are
space station,
expecting to
probably
receive television from the Soyuz vehicle shortly,
potentially killing
as well as views of
7
the
to 10
Soyuz from external
astronauts.
cameras
So
on the International Space Station. Once again, the fly-around of the station is scheduled to begin at 1:36 p.m. Central Time, about 27 minutes from now, when the Soyuz will have reached a distance of about 400 meters away from the station. The fly-around itself will be 54 degrees to align the Soyuz with the Rassvet module and to initiate a brief, very brief period of station keeping
hey, Ghost Tree.
before the command is issued for final approach, docking scheduled at 1:56 p.m. Central Time.
I do hand dock, but I'm exceptional, Bobby.
At 21, copy 2111, expect transmitter activation. Copy. I already have it prepared. Okay, let me take a look. Range is 12.7, 16.9, approaching range rate. Copy.
The Soyuz now about 12 kilometers away from the International Space Station as the two vehicles fly over the South Pacific at an altitude of about 260 statute miles. Once docking occurs, there will be a brief period to allow the relative motion between the two vehicles flush against one another to dampen out, at which point the forward docking probe on the Soyuz will be retracted to basically pull the two docking interfaces close together against one another, enabling the initiation of the closing of the hooks on the Soyuz to form a hard mate. At that point, the cosmonauts on the station side of the docking
I'm not even gonna
interface,
lie, that
and
sounds really
Kononenko,
dirty.
Chub, and O'Hara will be conducting leak checks on either side of their respective vehicles before there's a depressurization of the vestibule.
Does anybody want to be my hard mate?
Between the station and the Soyuz. That'll be the precursor to the opening of the hatches between the two vehicles. We expect hatch opening to occur in several stages. The hatches will begin to open somewhere in the neighborhood of about 4:10 p.m. Central Time, 5:10 p.m. Eastern Time. That will result in welcoming remarks by the crew after O'Hara, Kononenko, and Chub float inside the station to begin their occupancy aboard the complex. The welcoming remarks are expected in the vicinity of about 4:30 p.m. Central Time, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
So yeah, like I said, it takes more time for them to
when
actually
the hatch is opened,
make that hard mate and actually connect than it did to get there,
members, O'Hara,
which is
Kononenko,
really
and
surprising.
Chub, will be greeted by two sets of crews living aboard the station who arrived at different times, comprising the Expedition
Brian,
69
I'll do it if you
crew
do
at
it.
the moment. The commander of Expedition 69 is Sergei Prokopiev on your left in the middle, along with Roscosmos cosmonaut Dmitry Petelin and the new U.S. record holder for the longest single spaceflight in history, Frank Rubio, who is en route along with Prokopiev and Petelin to 371 days in space. We'll talk more about that in a moment. They were recently joined by the SpaceX Dragon Crew 7 crew from left
Over
to
a
right,
year
Konstantin
in
Borisov
space.
of Roscosmos, Andy Mogensen of the European Space Agency, NASA astronaut Jasmine Mogveli, and Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency Satoshi Furukawa. Those 7 crew members currently on the
station. It's a long time in
their
space.
Ranks expanded to 10 crew members once the Soyuz MS-24 crew, O'Hara, Kononenko, and Chub, float on board, and they begin a handover with the Soyuz MS-23 crew. Rubio, Prokopiev, and Petelin are beginning preparations for their return to Earth, which is scheduled for September 27th, and a parachute-assisted landing on the steppe of Kazakhstan. That day will be providing coverage of hatch closure, undocking, and landing throughout the course of the overnight hours on September 27th that will culminate with a touchdown southeast of Zhezkazgan, Kazakhstan, at 6:14
Well, it'd be so tough because you can't.
Central
I mean,
Time,
you can't just
7:14
decide to
a.m.
go
Eastern
home.
Time
Like you're
on
there
September
until your time's up.
27th.
It's not like you can call an Uber. Well, you probably could call an Uber. It's not sure that they would make it.
We're about 20 minutes away from the start of the fly around of the Soyuz to the International Space Station. We are expecting to receive reciprocal views of both the Soyuz from the station and vice versa of the station.
I would
from
want to
the
go
Soyuz
home
a
at some
short
point
time
too.
from now.
I don't know that I could do a year or longer.
The Soyuz about 9
Space
kilometers
probably
away from
would
the International Space
fix your
Station,
back problem.
continuing to close the gap in this quick 2-orbit, 3-hour and change rendezvous that began with the perfectly and precisely timed launch of the Soyuz from the Baikonur Cosmodrome that took place just over 2.5 hours ago.
That is really impressive that they were able to
Loral O'Hara,
Think it
the
that
NASA
close.
astronaut who launched today with Kononenko and Chub, will be spending 6 months on board the International Space Station. She will be returning to Earth on a different vehicle with a different pair of crew members next spring. Her backup for this launch, NASA's Tracy Dyson, will be launching on the Soyuz MS-25 spacecraft, along with Roscosmos cosmonaut Oleg and Belarus researcher Marina Vasilevskaya.
Putting you there for a year sounds like a responsible idea.
That will bring Dyson up to the station and bring home O'Hara. Kononenko and Chub, who are embarking today on a one-year mission to the station, will be returning to Earth next September with Tracy Dyson.
We should be coming up on you can kind of see in the upper right hand corner they have a simulation of what the Soyuz capsule is doing right now.
Range is 7 kilometers. 8.7 is range rate. Copy.
7 kilometers. So they're closing pretty quickly, actually.
Since the launch took place 2 hours and 34 minutes ago, the Soyuz MS-24 has performed perfectly. No issues. All of the rendezvous burns so far have been spot on.
Well, there wasn't very many burns
between the Soyuz and the International Space Station. And again, waiting on board the 7 crew members of Expedition 69. And by the way, Expedition 69 becomes Expedition 70 at the time of the Soyuz MS-23 undocking on September 27th, as Rubio, Prokopiev, and Patelin depart the complex. The increments are measured between Soyuz undocking to Soyuz undocking. That's how the time is accrued in the history books for the International Space Station. And there you see in this view as the station and Soyuz fly 260 miles over the Chilean mountains. That black dot is the Soyuz spacecraft, the MS-24, slowly but surely making its way toward its destination, the Rassvet module on the Earth-facing side of the International Space Station.
That's cool.
Before Rubio, Prokopiev, and Patelin depart the station, the day before, on September 26th, Andy Mogensen will take over command of the station, representing the European Space Agency.
It's just a little dot, little speck.
Prokopiev, the current commander of the station, in a change of command ceremony that will be broadcast on NASA TV at 8:40 a.m. Central Time, 9:40 a.m. Eastern Time. That'll be on September 26th.
Then on the 24th, we have sample return mission from Osiris. It's going to be a busy spaceflight month.
8.3 range rate. Yes, we confirm.
We have a SpaceX flight tonight, which Brian and I will cover during our Legos. My guy, Bri, and I. All Ruskies on the launch, genitals? No, it is 1 American, 2 Russians. It is 1 Russian and 1 American's first flight. It is one Russian's 6th flight, and at the end of this mission, he will have been in space the longest of any human being.
A good view
So,
of the Soyuz MS-24 from
right now, he's
external cameras
6th
on
on the
International
list.
Space
After his
Station,
year,
flying directly over
he will
Buenos
be
Aires.
number 1 for longest time in space, which is a cool honor. Over 1,000 days in space.
Range is 5 kilometers. 8.4 is range rate. Copy.
And as you heard in that translated communications between flight controllers and Korolyov and the crew on board the Soyuz, the distance is now less than 5 kilometers between Soyuz and the station, closing at a current rate of about 8 meters per second.
Okay, so we're still at a good rate. The U.S. still try and coordinate some of them. I don't know why they wouldn't just use SpaceX. I think it's just a cooperation thing to keep Russia involved. With the launch earlier this morning, we were talking about.
Flight Director Chris Dobbins has polled his team of flight controllers and
Hang
has
on.
given his Russian flight director counterpart in Korolyov a go for final approach and docking.
Okay, go for approach and docking. So, we're talking about the fact that the Russian module needs some serious upgrades, or it's going to go out of service
Space Station flying from
in
southwest
2025.
to northeast, as is the
So,
Soyuz
I think
vehicle
it's an
against the weight of the
encouragement
Earth, as
thing
you can see in
if
this
the United States
spectacular
keeps
view,
giving the Russians money to
passing just
take up our astronauts, and to keep the
the
training door open in case
southwest of
something
Sao
happens
Paulo,
with our
Brazil,
program,
and will be
like it did
passing just to
before
the east of the Brazilian
when
capital
Obama
of
canceled
Brasilia.
the space shuttle program, and we were paying exorbitant amounts of money to the Russians to take them up.
Range is 4.87. Copy. Expect maneuver. Copy.
Less than 12 minutes now until the beginning of the
Weather's not
fly-around
looking
of
great
the
tonight,
Soyuz.
Skid. You said it was good earlier.
Once again, the fly-around itself will be at a distance of
It
400
happens.
meters.
We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it.
About a 54-degree fly-around that will take just under 5 minutes to complete, followed by a very, very brief period of station keeping to enable flight controllers to assess the angular precision between the forward docking probe on the Soyuz and the Rassvet module prior to the point at which the command will be issued for the initiation of final approach.
So they have to make kind of like a loop because they're going around to the front port. So, and they're coming from behind. So it's a move that a maneuver they've done before, but it has some issues if there's anything that goes wrong. So it's a risky move, but and we should be coming up on sunrise, right? So I think we get sunrise in about 8-9 minutes, maybe. I think it's the 13th sunrise on their mission, if my math's right. Two times around, but multiple sunrises because of the speed and travel direction. Yes. Launching from the Cape tonight, sir. You can see those cold gas thrusters firing.
So the station has moved inaudible.
So that moves the attitude of the spaceship. It can slow it down, speed it up, turn it, all different kinds of options. I think the problem will be landing on the drone ship. Yeah. Well, there's a couple of hurricanes out there too, I think.
Beginning a series of
Or tropical storms or whatever.
These are very brief firings of their thrusters on the MS-24 spacecraft to fine-tune their path to the International Space Station. You can see the thruster firings right there, a good view. As the two vehicles, the station and Soyuz, fly 260 miles over eastern South America.
748. We have Escada. 044 is acceleration. The burn is complete. The duration of the burn is 13 seconds.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Burn.
It looks like a UFO.
Copy.
And as you can see, the Soyuz continues the series of impulse burns.
Monitoring.
This makes a more precision approach possible for the initiation of the fly around that is expected about 7.5 minutes from now.
So each of those makes just minute adjustments, just small little adjustments. And it's a patience game because you don't want to overcorrect because then you can get in a bad place real quick. So just little teeny corrections over and over and over.
The maneuver is complete. A station is in the center of the OSCA in the OCAU. Copy.
Okay. So we're still tracking correctly. Hey, Daisy girl. So he doesn't get an authorization to dock. I'm not saying the rest of it, but you can guess. Or just read Jacob's comment. That's true. Unless it says surprise, then it's okay.
Johannes Kepler in charge of this rendezvous, a 2-orbit rendezvous. Just 2 hours and 45 minutes ago, this vehicle was on the launch pad at the Baikonur Cosmodrome. Now it's
that is truly impressive. I just can't get over that. Like, that's so fast.
The next burn cloud maneuver. Copy on the bow. At the range of about 1 kilometer. Copy.
This view now of the International Space Station from the control panel in the Soyuz vehicle. That view is
even their
the familiar
programs look even
view that shows the Soyuz crew, Kononenko,
like
Chub, and O'Hara, all of the various parameters of their approach.
Like we've seen SpaceX's heads-up display, and it's
closing at a rate of about 4 meters per second.
It's just odd to see this one so different. So MS-DOS in the 80s, 90s. There's no fluff to the Russians. The UI is just strictly for what it's for. It's not looking pretty at all. Why does Dragon take so long? Generally they take so long. This is I do too like fluff. This is exceptionally fast. I haven't got the story behind why yet. I've been looking for it. It seems like it just ended up like that. Some of it's from location. I know that they're currently pretty close to over the Cosmodrome, so it could have just been really good timing.
Fine-tuning correction maneuvers.
But usually you have an expectation that you're going to be in that
Soyuz
20 to 35-ish hour range to dock, and a lot of that is
23 minutes from now.
based on the International Space Station themselves. You have to get docking clearance, go around the keep out sphere, go into the keep out sphere. So a lot of it is built in. I don't know why, unless they're trying to do this intentionally to see how it works. I don't know why it was done so quickly, but this is incredibly quick.
Range is 850 and range
I think some of it as well is
5.
SpaceX is obviously through the United States government. They're a private company, but their docking privileges and licenses are through the United States government, and the United States is far more cautious generally. So that certainly could have some bearing on how they're doing it, but this is what we're going to need if we have any intention of space flight for average Joes, because you're not going to be able to put passengers on a
2.5 minutes to go before the fly around of the station by Soyuz.
On a capsule for 30 hours.
Space station pass off the northern coast of South America back out.
Yeah, that would be my guess too. Just looking at the track where it's at, and
northwest coast of Africa,
not having to move laterally as well, just trying to catch up to it. So very much so, and time efficient. I don't know that I've ever seen a docking this close or this quick. I could.
We have.
This is incredibly quick.
Burn, and then we are starting to approach.
Sky over in North Carolina?
Prepare to work for
maybe.
53. For the approach.
That's also true. The Soyuz is very tight, whereas Dragon, you can get out and move, get out of your spacesuit, all that kind of stuff. So
copy.
There's a lot more comfort in the Dragon. I'd rather be in the Dragon for 30 hours than the Soyuz.
A great view of the Soyuz MS-24. Just off the northern coast of South America, moving from southwest to northeast. Inside 1 kilometer from the International Space Station, and a docking to the Rassvet module. Docking schedule just 20 minutes from now. We are about to initiate the fly around of the station at a distance of 400 meters.
It's just so neat. So cool. Wait, didn't Russia just rush their moon trip and crash it into the moon? Yes. I wasn't going to say that because I don't want to jinx it, but yes. Yes. It would be catastrophic if they mess this up based on where they're coming in, how they're attaching of the crash. I don't think they've released video of the crash. I did in my,
A range is
I forget what the hell I called it, but my moon video, I
is the range.
simulated what it would look like,
We have
And
but-
at a distance of 400 meters, the fly around.
but I don't think they ever released footage.
By Soyuz MS-24
Any
has
are there
begun.
humans on board? Yes, there is a female
This will
American
take
astronaut.
about, 3
There are
minutes to
2
complete.
Russian male astronauts. The American and one of the Russian males, that's
The
their first
lower
flight.
right-hand corner of your
And
screen,
the
ultraflex solar
other
arrays of
Russian
the
male,
Cosmos
it is his
Grumman
6th
Cygnus
flight.
cargo craft.
And he is going to, during this mission, break the record for the longest time from a human in space. So
range rate 09. Copy.
we have 2 rookies and 1 that is very experienced.
Also, monitor the Ka-15 generation for the approach.
Yeah, there was pictures of the crash site, but it didn't show a
Currently
ton.
range is 3300.8 is range rate. Copy.
That's moving quick.
This is Mission Control Houston. You're watching live coverage of the approach of the next trio of residents to the International Space Station, the Soyuz MS-24, with Loral O'Hara of NASA and Roscosmos cosmonauts Oleg Kononenko and Nikolai Chub aboard, launched just under 3 hours ago from the Baikonur Cosmodrome, now just 320 meters away from the Rassvet module of the International Space Station, which will be their docking port.
God, that seems like it's moving fast. When again, we've seen the Crew Dragon dock, and it almost looks like it's not moving. This guy's just zooming relatively. And we, again, this just puts in perspective how small humans are. Like
260 as range, 0.4 is range rate. Copy.
this is a huge and technologically advanced vehicle.
All of the Soyuz functions are being conducted automatically.
Some of the best
Core's
we can do,
automated rendezvous
and it's
system is working
just
perfectly,
tiny
guiding the Soyuz in for its
in relation to
link up
Earth.
to the Rassvet module a short time from now. The Soyuz and the International Space Station now flying over southern Morocco.
This puts into perspective how stupid my lawnmower is as I fill it with gasoline.
Expect the final approach mode transition.
It's up, Fiery.
Range is 230.
It's moving. It's moving relatively quickly.
Is range rate. We see the course mode final approach. Yes, we see the fly round. MRM-1 is in the OSK center.
In relation, they're 0.8 meters per second.
Is 225 and 0.35 is range rate.
And SpaceX usually comes in at like 5.58. So they're moving a little bit faster.
fly around is complete.
What one I would?
The
What capsule
final
I'd want to
approach
land
is
in?
expected shortly.
Uh,
The Soyuz and the station flying over the Moroccan desert.
they all suck. Anyone but the Chinese one?
We have the final approach. Rachel K-15 ranges.
Soyuz lands on land now, so
10.
that wouldn't be my first choice.
0.19
Probably a Dragon.
is range rate. We're rotating along the.
I think Dragon would be
roll.
the most comfortable.
Be ready
but-
to execute page 53 in the OSK lighting.
But none of them are terribly comfortable. They say it's like getting into a minor car accident.
So
So
we're going to turn on the light for OSK.
you hit the ground at about 15 miles an hour.
We have the approach cone station keeping. We confirmed the headlight activation. We sent the command.
And Russian flight
And there's
controllers
the
and
light.
Korolyov have given the Soyuz the go for final approach. Soyuz headlight has been turned on, as you can see. Final approach has now been initiated.
Final approach. On the approach display, sending the command, the final approach, Rachel command. I sent the command. Range is 200.
That's so cool.
200 meters separating the Soyuz from the station.
Acceleration for final approach.
The two vehicles about to pass just south of Casablanca. At 21:51, you're going to enter the eclipse. Okay, copy 21:51, ranges 187. We're accelerating to 0.85 for final approach. Copy.
285. Okay. So you're speeding up a little bit.
Range is 170. 0.85 is range rate.
Huh. Okay.
Antares, could you please expand the video so it covers the entire screen? Okay, copy. Expanding the.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's gonna get.
Video.
It will probably get
Range
dark here
is
in just a
140
moment.
Is the final approach 0.9 copy? We're seeing the video.
No, I don't. No, I don't. They came down way too hard.
Anton, what was your request about the video, about the picture?
The Soyuz and the
They could
International
die.
Space Station heading into an orbital sunset. And this view now from the external video camera, the
Hey, Digger.
engineering camera on the outside of the Soyuz, showing the station and the docking port on the Rassvet module. 118 meters separating the two vehicles, closing at a rate of 0.6
So this is from
meters per second.
their capture cam. So this is what they're trying to capture. Pretty easy. You're trying to get that middle point on the middle of the docking port.
0.57 is range rate. Copy.
They're at a weird inclination. They need to pull it back, I would think. Oh, they're going to turn it and spin it.
Less
Okay.
than 100
I see what they're
meters now
doing.
separating the two vehicles.
The cupola module is right beneath us. Or above us.
The core's system will guide the Soyuz forward docking probe into perfect alignment with the docking target on the Rassvet module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the station.
0 meters, 0.47 is range rate. Copy.
The other Soyuz that's on board the station, which will be the ride home for Sergei Prokopiev, Dmitry Petelin, and Frank Rubio, just 12 days from now, is docked to the space-facing side of the Russian segment to the Prishal module, that is the node module attached to the multipurpose laboratory module.
That's so cool. And you see those thrusters firing.
Range is 70, 0.3 is range rate. We have the crosshairs aligned. So it's in the center. Copy.
Approaching 60 meters between Soyuz and station, closing at a rate of
So these are
0.1 of a meter per second. At the time of contact and capture, the Soyuz will be moving even slower at just about 0.1 of a meter per second.
yeah. So these are all your inclinations that you're trying to line up so that you can get a good capture. Different axes, speeds, different things like that.
50019 range rate.
So you can see those solar panels starting to turn. They're starting to bring it in, and our perspective from this camera isn't straight on either, for what it's worth. But
we have gas 7, gas 13, gas 17. Range is 47 meters. 0.
The docking system is now powered up.
Did he just say dinosaur in the background? I thought I heard dinosaur.
In the center section of this 3-section Soyuz vehicle are the 3 crew members, Loral O'Hara, Oleg, and Nikolai Chub.
Well, I appreciate it.
Away
I
from
try.
arriving at their new home in space.
Monitor gas 13.
Well,
gas
yeah, but
yes,
I'm not a
confirm
spacecraft.
that it's all set up. Work for page 55 at this time. Copy. Range is 35, 0.14 range rate. Copy.
So now we should start slowing down a little bit. I mean, but try and tap the bumper of a... Get in a car and try and tap the bumper of an RV going 17,500 miles an hour.
Range is 30 meters per OSK. 0.15 is range
That's
rate.
what you're doing.
Copy. We see solar array panels. Yes, it's already floating into our window view. The station is so large and we see it. Range is 25 meters.
I thought that was their docking port, but...
range rate for approach.
As you heard, 25 meters separating the 2 vehicles, closing at a rate now of 0.1 of a meter per second.
0.42 point. I mean,
You
yeah.
can see the pentagon-shaped docking target at the base of the Rassvet module.
Copy. We have AR base. Range is 20. Copy. How do you read me on VHF2?
I would imagine so, but I haven't found anything to confirm that. But I would be happy going on the record saying yes, it was. So.
This video now over Russian ground stations of the Soyuz view of the final approach for docking. Now less than 20 meters separating the 2 vehicles.
Anton, we didn't copy your last. We have our own interference. Right now, we're going to switch to VHF1. Antares, how do you read me on VHF1? Really loud and clear. Well, there's a little there's a small bias, but we're straightening out. Range is, by my assessment, 17 meters, and range rate is 0.1. Copy. We see
Yes,
the
Ryan missed
target
class this morning.
and the
But it
outpost
happens.
starting.
It's okay. I love them.
Range is 10 meters by my assessment. 0.12 is range rate. Copy. I am approaching at 7 meters. Range is 7 meters and range rate is 0.12. Copy. I think it all works. We have a small bias, and I think we're straightening out. 6 meters.
6 meters now separating the two vehicles.
6 meters.
We have a small bias.
Yeah, you do.
5 meters. 0.9.
Less than 5 meters now, standing by for contact and capture.
The bias is straightening out little by little. 3
Oh,
meters,
I see what the Soyuz
0.1,
did.
range
They
rate, we're
made
expecting
that
contact.
as a kind of direction for the crosshairs. So that's where they want to aim. So this is a capture crosshair, it's not like SpaceX where it's docking with
Everything is
the
normal.
cover.
5332, we
Contact confirmed, docking confirmed at 1:53 p.m. Central Time, 2:53 p.m. Eastern Time, as the station and Soyuz flew 260 miles over Ukraine, south of Kyiv.
work for page
Docked over Ukraine.
Copy.
And so they have a little bit of play in that because,
parameters,
of course, when the clamps go in place, they're going to straighten out that little bit of bias. But
messages. Okay, K9 is no longer eliminated. Copy. I think we need to go to SSOP.
A flawless launch to docking scenario for Loral O'Hara, Oleg Kononenko, and Nikolai Chub. O'Hara and Chub arriving at the station for the first time. Kononenko an old hat at this. This is his 5th flight into space. It was dead perfect from launch to docking. Docking occurring at 1:53 p.m. Central Time.
this is his 6th flight,
Copy.
not his 5th flight.
The transit from the launch pad at Baikonur to the International Space Station took 3 hours and 9 minutes.
S18.
All right, guys, now talk JSDs into taking me to Kazakhstan,
Moscow, we're closing RPV1. We
to
confirm.
the Baikonur.
Okay, and RPV1 is closed. And we're going to read you the time. The time of the start, is that okay?
This is really it is really cool to see the other side of the
I'll start
process.
the timer at 6 minutes.
Like I said, usually it's, a weird time, or usually it's so far away from the launch where it's not terribly practical. But this one is was incredible. This is what they're going to need to commercialize space, is these quick turns, quick connects, and really just getting in there and getting it done. So
we're ready to copy the first measurement. First measurement of pressure in the SS792.
So now the real work begins. They start
and the assembly compartment is 877.
doing airlocks. They'll start, if there's any supplies, they'll start pulling them out, that kind of thing. So
Okay, copy. This time as 20. Could you repeat the last in the assembly compartment is the pressure is 877.
So they're reading out pressures, that kind of stuff, to make sure.
22:01 minutes. Work for page 57 for monitoring. Copy. S13 21 57 10 is illuminated.
The forward docking probe has retracted, and the hooks are now driving close to form a hard mate between the two vehicles.
Why are they not showing something? That's weird. Comms went silent and they stopped showing stuff.
Standing by for the completion of the closure of the hooks to form a hard mate between Soyuz and the Rassvet module.
Antares, Moscow, requesting launch burn 1280. Copy 1280.
You can deactivate recording mode.
And we now have confirmation that the hooks are closed. So we have
Okay,
a hard mate
so hard
now
capture.
between Soyuz and the International Space Station. Just a flawless rendezvous and docking, no issues at all, as Oleg, Kononenko, Nikolai, Chub, and Loral O'Hara had a smooth and uneventful ride from the launch pad in Baikonur to their destination in space, the Rassvet module.
There are
of
the three
International
astronauts
Space
that are
Station.
on board this morning.
The three
Hey,
Soyuz
Gemini.
crew members and the cosmonauts on board the station will now begin a series of leak checks on both sides of the docking interface to make sure that we have an airtight seal before the hatches will be opened to enable O'Hara, Kononenko, and Chub to enter the International Space Station.
I wonder if they plan on stepping that time up, because he sounded like it was pretty close, but they still have transfer. Let me check their
Anton,
mission.
how long did it take us to get to the station? Hold on, let me calculate.
Yeah, there's still 2 hours until. I thought he was.
If we count from the liftoff moment, it took you pretty much exactly 3 hours. Wow, that is pretty fast.
That's very fast.
20318 latches at position 18. Copy. Stand by for probe extension, monitor probe system operation, and report. Copy. Anton, second measurement. Descent
Okay.
module 7.
So they're just gonna keep talking about that kind of stuff. So yeah, that is. They are docked successfully. A good flight, good dock. I 4:45. I'll see what I can do. I might come back on and show you the welcome ceremony and all that good stuff, and just take you through the whole process. I'm gonna have to see though, because I have another engagement at that time. Shatner did go up in Bezos's penis rocket, which I don't know if you can call space. Maybe ish. There's debate. I go amusement park ride. Some people say that you go to space, but we shall see. So, with that being said, I'm gonna get up here and I will keep an eye out. It's likely I'll try and cover the docking when they open and all that good stuff. Their speeches, their handoffs, ceremony, all that. But yeah, we'll see from there. There's a pretty good chance I'll just have to work around something that I have going on, but you guys might just be stuck with NASA, and I'll run and do my thing and then come back. Maybe that's the best practice. So look out for the next one. It should be around 4:30, 4:45, somewhere in that general vicinity. Until then, I hope you guys have a great day, and I will catch you again later. If not, you certainly can catch us tonight when Brian and I do Legos. We're going to catch the SpaceX launch if that does go tonight during our Lego stream. So that's going to be it for me. I will talk to you all soon. Have a great day.